Do y'all see this character, this blonde boy? His name is Yu-Gi-Oh! And the title of this video is called When One Character Transforms an Anime. If you guys haven't seen Sword Art Online Season 3 and Season 4, you probably won't get it, but let's see what Mr. Gallenberger1 has to say about Yu-Gi-Oh! And SAO in a nutshell.
Love it or hate it, Sword Art Online has never lacked incredible ideas. Today I'm going to talk about one that doesn't...
I agree. The ideas of like this, I truly believe SAO was ahead of its time. A lot of people shit on it because it was popular to shit on it. If you actually talk to somebody who is an SAO hater and you want to have an actual like a conversation why they hate it, their talking points is most likely going to be like, oh, I loved SAO for part 1 in season 1, but then season 2 ALO shit was really bad and I dropped it and it's trash. And to that point, I kind of agree. ALO honestly was trash compared to the part 1. But then season 2 with GGO, right? GGO, Mother of Rosario arc, so heart-touching. Such a good arc between those two. And then season 3 and season 4, Project Alicization, unreal how good it is. The themes of like futuristic technology, VR and AR in a movie, right? The augmented reality and virtual reality. I love the way that they handled this futuristic concept, you know, with AGI as well, right? Artificial general intelligence that happens in season 3 and season 4.
Get brought up as often as it should. One that changed SAO for the better and something that more anime should try to emulate. You'll learn why throughout this video and why the addition of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is far more ambitious than you might have thought. Before getting into the idea itself, let's talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! The character,
Vanilla.
because that sets the stage for why the change works. When the 3rd season of SAO begins, you literally think you're watching the wrong show.
Exactly. It is a trip. Check out episode 1 of SAO season 3. You'll be like, what am I watching right now? Is this really the SAO that I remember?
Not only has the animation had a major glow up, we open in a fantasy world with 2 randos we've never seen before, and Kirito is a child. What the hell does any of this mean? It means we're about to get peak SAO.
Touchdown!
No, that's what. That opening scene shows Kirito, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Alice, all as childhood friends. This is extremely important.
Funniest part here when the Integrity Knight here chains like the dad literally chained up his own daughter to this dragon and they dragged this girl. The dragon goes flying and this little toddler kid is dragged in the air. It's so funny.
Important because everything that happens all season long and all of Yu-Gi-Oh's character ties back to what happens here. After stumbling upon 2 knights fighting, Alice accidentally stumbles into forbidden territory called the Dark Territory, which is a violation of the Taboo Index, a set of rules everyone in this world is beholden to. No big deal though, right? A kid touched some sand. Who cares?
No, it's time to crucify her. She broke a law.
Well, in typical government fashion, she's taken away and scheduled for execution. When Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh! Attempt to intervene, Yu-Gi-Oh! Can't. Not only is he terrified, his legs are frozen and he feels a searing pain in his eye. The next time we see him, 6 years have passed. Kirito is forced to return to the underworld, which is essentially VR with AI so advanced they are literally living beings themselves.
Yeah, this blew my mind, man. Truly, when we say like SAO, like you can shit on it for a lot of reasons, but the ideas that it had, the concepts that it's trying to execute, it's so fucking good. Realizing that this is all a simulation, right? They are literally having a simulation where the creators are the gods themselves, and the gods are like the, you know, the admins, the developers, right? The developers of Wrath. They're creating this project to see like if these like souls, these artificial souls, are capable of breaking, you know, these laws and be able to, you know, form individual thought, the ability to be able to kill, and then to translate that into like an arms race where people now wants to mass produce like Clone War robot-like things with Alice. Like, I thought that like the themes, the technological concepts that it's trying to incorporate into the story was so good. And it's not even at this point it was good. From the beginning it was always good with full dive technology, VR, and people being stuck in Aincrad, right? And then ALO was pretty much the same shit. GGO was pretty much the same shit. Instead, this time we have just different VR games through Zacido. And then things definitely change when you get to Mother's Rosario with like the Medicuboid process. Now you're integrating this VR technology, full dive technology through more medical applications. And then the movie where it's now AR stuff, right? Rather than virtual reality, where basically you put on a headset and you're immersed into a different world itself. AR is like augmented reality, where you have, and I think that, you know, the Apple Vision Pro, that's pretty much it. I think that in the distant future, we will have something that'll be so smaller. Obviously, right now, the technology isn't there, where it's a clunky headset and the battery life is so trash. You can't just go walking around with that shit. But I do see a distant future, you know, a decade plus years into the future, where that kind of technology will be literally like a headset, like a small headset, or maybe even like a contact lens where, you know, you see the world for what it is, but now you have like different, you know, augmented reality interfaces. Like, you know, you'll have like Yui, for example, just showing up as your little familiar talking to you. Does she exist in real life? No, but with the AR technology on, now you can interface with that virtual like assistant, and it'll be like an artificial intelligence that like helps you in your day-to-day like lives. I truly believe that is the future.
And he bumps into Yu-Gi-Oh, who doesn't remember him at all. Like many anime characters, we're starting from the bottom here. Yu-Gi-Oh is weak, compliant, and complacent. He still feels guilt over allowing Alice to be taken, but has no way of doing anything about it. In this world, you're given a—
Yeah, like he's literally programmed to be unable to like break through that, what was it, code 492? I forget the exact numbers, but it's like, you are a program, you're an NPC, you must obey by this code. But then it's the idea of, can you then defy, you know, your god, the creators, and have your own independent thought and act outside of that?
a calling, one you're unable to abandon. His is woodcutter. His entire existence revolves around cutting down the Giga Cedar, a tree that has stood for 300 years and is nowhere near completed. If it takes him his entire life, so be it. That's—
Bro, the sound effect of chopping that tree, and it's not just chopping the tree, the sound effects by A1 Pictures starting from season 3, it blows your ears out. I that's one minor complaint I have. Like, it doesn't need to be that fucking loud, where every sound effect is like a jump scare.
That's what the rules say, therefore they are. Ironically, SAO's most ambitious character idea, early on, has no ambitions. But Kirito changes that. The two quickly become friends. Yu-Gi-Oh still feels in his heart that Alice is alive, and he wants to save her. Kirito wants to help Yu-Gi-Oh. To speed up the woodcutting process, they attempt to take down the tree with the legendary Blue Rose sword.
Let's go.
A sword Yu-Gi-Oh had found that once belonged to the great hero Broccoli, a man that their village was named after. Work smarter, not harder, right? Well, they can barely lift that sword. However, the arrival of Kirito stirred something in Yu-Gi-Oh. When Alice's sister is taken by goblins, Yu-Gi-Oh finds himself in a similar position to the worst moment of his life, and once again, he's terrified. However, fear and inaction cost him Alice. He can't let that happen again. He decides to fight and protect the people he cares about. While this shift is extremely important for his character, it's important to note, bro gets his ass kicked. His mind is stronger, but his body is still weak. And if not for Kirito giving him life energy, he would have died right there.
I love the whole concept of like object durability in this show. In this show, you don't really have an HP bar, right? You have like durability. It's like your life, you know? Like in video games, the more that you use a weapon, what happens to it? Sometimes it's gonna lose durability and it becomes unable to use unless you like repair it, right? The same thing kind of exists for this show, where your life, you can transfer the durability to others. It's like a finite resource. It's also cool where there's like object threshold something, where the Blue Rose sword, they can't really use it in the beginning because they haven't hit that threshold like number to be able to wield it. Like the different like resource parameters in Project Alicization was pretty innovative.
He understands he needs to get stronger and trains his sword skills with Kirito. He works his ass off day and night, in heat or in rain, and due to his efforts, he eventually wields the Blue Rose sword. With it, he cuts down the Giga Cedar in—
Thank God, because without Kirito giving him the sword, bro's gonna be chopping his trees until he has a grandkid. And then the grandkids are all gonna have the same calling of chopping down this fucking Giga Cedar tree, bro. This shit was never gonna end.
days. I want to focus on this part for a bit because it's important. Imagine your entire life was dedicated to a single task, one that presumably would last until the day you die.
Yeah, and you wouldn't even come close to finishing it. The relative comparison to the previous generations of tree cutters and the amount of damage that it's done, like the damage is done to the tree to be able to chop it, it's insignificant. It's so insignificant. Like our lifespans worth of chopping that tree with that axe would have done like fucking nothing. Like multiple generations. Like this shit would have happened for thousands of more fucking years.
It's all you've known from birth. How would you react to that task being completed? Would you feel free, or would your life now feel aimless?
Both. And now it's up to you to find your own duty or your calling, right? I think that plays into like in this show, every one of these NPCs are given a task. That is basically their entire existence in life. And once you finish that task, what do you do now? Well, it wasn't even supposed to be finished this early. And now Yuju has to like come up with an idea for himself. What does he want to do? He wants to be like Kirito. He wants to be a swordsman.
One thing I like about Yu-Gi-Oh is he takes the ambitious route. He can do anything now, and he chooses to become a swordsman. Not only will that require lots of discipline and effort, but there's a specific goal behind it. In his mind, he failed Alice. Her family has suffered because of him, and now he's going to save her. He and Kirito spend months training and enroll in the Sword Mastery Academy. They spend a year as underlings before taking on underlings of their own. Yu-Gi-Oh's is Tisei. Nobles at the academy.
Humbert, bro. Humbert and Rios, dude. These creepy motherfuckers had so much budget in that grape scene.
Rios and Humbert look down on Yu-Gi-Oh for his lack of rank and challenge him to a duel. When Yu-Gi-Oh's about to win,
mustard and ketchup
is abruptly called off to spare their fragile egos. In response, they abuse their underling who is friends with Tisei. When Yu-Gi-Oh finds out about this and stands up to them, it motivates Tisei to do the same. Except the douches do not take that well. Because of their noble status,
this is the episode.
No one beneath them is allowed to attack them under the taboo index. It is a criminal act to do so. Knowing this, they take advantage of it. They pin.
Yeah, I knew he put this frame in. Oh, I would too. This still is one of the most ridiculous frames in SAO, bro. And what's even more ridiculous is the fact that A1 Pictures went out of their way to just make this scene like one of the best animated parts of SAO, bro. Anytime there's creepy grape scenes happening, holy fuck, A1 Pictures knows how to deliver. And it's like a match made in hell, not heaven, hell, where the author of SAO with the specific directors from A1 Pictures, they know. They're on the same wavelength. They're like, you know what's going to happen with this scene, right? And A1 Pictures is like, I got you, boss. Don't worry. We'll make this scene as creepy as possible.
Tisei and her friend down and force themselves on these two helpless girls in front of Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh once again finds himself in a position where someone he cares about is in danger and he's frozen. This time is different though. Attacking goblins to save
871. That's right. That's the code. The code where you're about to break the taboo index. And it's one of the most important things about, the developments of these NPC AIs, where the whole Project Wrath, right? Alicization was, can we have people that's able to like act out beyond what exists within their laws and rule sets? Most people are gonna abide by the law, but what fucking Eisen wanted was like people like Alice, right? Be able to break the law and act independently. And in this part, like Yu-Gi-Oh kind of like says, enough NPC life, I'm gonna live for my friends now.
His sister was scary, but not illegal. If he acts here, he'll be imprisoned. It goes to show how oppressive the taboo index really is. But he made up his mind long ago to fight to protect his loved ones. He attempts to defy the index, which is restricting him through pain in his eye. The more he struggles to intervene, the more pain he feels. He does this until his eye explodes.
Literally popped out.
Now he's able to act freely, where he slices Humbert's arm clean off. I cannot overstate how crazy this scene was.
It
to
was,
have the
man.
resolve to suffer through your eye exploding is next level shit, and showed how strong his convictions were. However, like I said, this was a crime. So Yu-Gi-Oh and Kirito await their imprisonment by an integrity knight,
and who is
only
it?
to realize that knight is Alice, and she doesn't remember anything about them. They manage to quickly escape and
yeah, there's no security here. It's actually crazy how we got out so fucking easily, and then even beat an integrity knight without any weapons while being chained up.
Imprisonment, but another knight comes for them. Yu-Gi-Oh recognizes him and starts rattling off memories of that night.
This guy's a fucking fraud. But this is like the moment where we realize that these integrity knights, the more that you like confront them with their past life, which has been erased, because Quinella, the administrator, has been, reprogramming, right? These NPCs. They erase their past life, they put in this new prism, and now you're like an integrity knight where you think you're from the heavens and you're on like some sort of heavenly duty.
It's family. which messes with his head, and they escape. We'll get back to that. It's then that they learn the reason behind Alice's loss of memories and the history of their world. If they want things to change, they have to take out the administrator, Quinella. It's fitting that she stands atop a giant tower, and for Yu-Gi-Oh!
And I think Quinella is one of the best villains in this show, man. Quinella's backstory of how she also incorporated system call, trying random fucking, commands until she was old age, and finally, just like after so much brute force of trying to do open list or something like that, right? She's trying to see all the different, admin calls there is. Again, the concept of like, in video games, right? You have these like different like slash commands or whatever. And I love the way that SAO handled that in this world where, system call and you do something. Like Quinella, the admin, she realized that she needed something to sustain her life. And then there's also like beyond her realizing that she can figure out all the different, OP admin commands after brute forcing it all her life as she turns into a granny, then, has a realization that, holy fuck, I can do this. I can be immortal now. The like memory, now we're dealing with like, she doesn't have enough RAM. She doesn't have enough storage. And it's also very resource, intensive to stay awake for a long time. So she has to like sleep and offload the memory and shit like that. Again, so much more technological themes being incorporated into the story of SSA, which makes it so unique.
This has been one long uphill climb to achieve a destiny he didn't initially believe in. As they climb the tower, they again come face to face with Alice, and she's ridiculously powerful. This is not the same person from 6 years ago, physically or mentally. Yu-Gi-Oh makes a desperate ploy to use the full extent of his abilities, but it's to no avail. Then Kirito and Alice are removed from the fight, and Yu-Gi-Oh continues to climb the tower, which brings him face to face with Broccoli. It's one of my favorite fights in the series. First, because of the meaning behind it, Yu-Gi-Oh is standing up for what's right by fighting a hero his people worshipped, who
also, the sword that we're using is his.
Has been corrupted by the administrator. Second, because the way the fight plays out is symbolic. Integrity Knights, when taken in by Quinella, lose a lot of their individuality in service to her. It's that exact reason that Broccoli loses the fight. It's Yu-Gi-Oh's outside the box and individual thinking that tricks him, allowing Yu-Gi-Oh to freeze his foe, though it did also cause him to pass out too.
One of the best characters still. Chudelkin, I think, is actually like hype character.
That's when he hears his mother's voice, hearing her say he killed.
And now this is when Yu-Gi-Oh gets groomed by Quinella.
His family, and you see his hands drenched in blood. It's a nightmare, but again, you see how consumed by guilt he is. When he wakes up, he's lying next to Quinella. Then she comes to and instantly begins manipulating him. First through his
I hated this part though. Not hate because, Yu-Gi-Oh's being manipulated by Quinella, but like how stupid it was. How Quinella made Yu-Gi-Oh jealous by showing him a backstory of Kirito and Alice eating sandwich together. See? Yu-Gi-Oh? They're cheating on you. I'm like, what the fuck?
Insecurities, and then by twisting his memories, she tells him he's never been truly loved, but she'll give him all of her, love he's always desired, and he submits to her. Watch out for the crazy ones, guys. It's always the crazy one.
And again, there's such a funny way of incorporating like these technological themes where basically Quinella has affected Yu-Gi-Oh with the virus, but like it's basically STDs because she's like sleeping with them. She like made him remove protection straight up. Like, again, it's just like we went in raw. No condom, no protection. Quinella has now, infected Yu-Gi-Oh! And now Yu-Gi-Oh! Is an Integrity Knight.
Crazy one. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is now an Integrity Knight. That's not an act either. Yu-Gi-Oh! Fight.
Freya wishes she could do what Quinella could do. Freya still has too much of humanity left, man. Freya actually felt bad. Quinella is a fucking monster. She don't feel bad about this shit. She thinks this is the righteous way to do it. Freya has a half-hearted resolve when she's trying to groom Belle. Quinella, she went all in.
It's Kirito and Alice, but thankfully, facing the two people he cares about most allows him to slowly regain his senses. Feeling the guilt of allowing himself to be manipulated, he freezes them so that he can go kill Quinella himself. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't have the power to do so. As has always been the case, he's too weak, which makes it so fitting that he uses all of his power to become the weapon that defeats her.
That's right, he became the sword.
He literally transforms into a sword that Kirito uses to slay her, and it's their combined might that takes her down. In the process, that sword is destroyed, meaning Yu-Gi-Oh will die as well.
But it's okay, because some way this motherfucker returns in season 4. Even though he's dead, he's everywhere.
Before he does, he finally understands what love is, and it's not the transaction Quinella made it out to be. It's not something you get, it's something you give. He gave himself up for Kirito and Alice. He had to. The Alice that exists now is not the same Alice he searched for, but that doesn't make her any less worthy of living. He never would have stopped trying to bring back the old Alice, and Kirito would have never stopped fighting to save the current version.
That's right, because remember, with the Integrity Knights, they have two personas, the past life and the current life, and we decided that Yu-Gi-Oh! And the past Alice would pass away, while this new Alice, who has, also defied Code 871, will now live along with Kirito as a vegetable.
Before he dies, he asks Kirito where he is and if he's still there, and it's really sad to watch. But it's also touching, because when Yu-Gi-Oh! Passes, he meets the child version of Alice in the afterlife, and they pass on together. In the end, he found who he was looking for after all. His death is still impactful going forward too. His sacrifice allowed Kirito to defeat the administrator.
Chudelkin got one in here, bro. Chudelkin showed up for 3 or 4 episodes. Fucked Quinella. He did it, and he left. He's the biggest winner of season 3.
Which changes the entire...
Everyone lost in season 3, bro. Everyone lost everything in season 3. So many people. There's no closure for a lot of people, bro. It's a bad ending for most people in season 3 as we go into season 4. But Chudelkin, he got what he wanted, and he went out with a bang.
Entire underworld. Even so, Kirito ends up catatonic for months because of what came next. Alice was saved, and she becomes the lead of the next story arc. When the old supporting cast, led by Asuna, returns, which is amazing, and
yeah, Shino and Asuna, they all was pretty cool, had different god accounts, and fucking Lifa's the only one to get done dirty, bro.
Which is amazing, and Kirito needs to save them. Poetically, it's Yu-Gi-Oh's memory that soothes Kirito's guilt, letting him know it's okay to move forward despite what he's done.
There's so much moments, right, where Yu-Gi-Oh comes in clutch, not just for Kirito's return in season 4, but also what happened. Even with, that knight who was Alice's junior, and he basically had a huge sacrifice, and I think we did say Yu-Gi-Oh's hand kind of pushing forward when he was doing that one last heroic sacrifice,
and brings him back. It's a hell of a full circle moment. His impact isn't limited to characters or the series either. The idea of Yu-Gi-Oh itself is incredible. He fundamentally changes what you can do in the series and how you can tell stories. In the first 2 seasons, his character doesn't exist. When he's introduced in season 3, we're told early on he's AI. So think about this. They sideline the entire supporting cast from the first 2 seasons and replace it with an entirely new one in an AI world.
Very ambitious. Again, that's why Project Alicization is so well received, because it's fundamentally different from all the SAO that people have seen so far. And I think the focus of Kirito being more like a support character, I think that's why season 3 and season 4 are so good. Kirito does not take the driving wheel by himself. He does exist there, but the drive mostly is done by Yu-Gi-Oh in season 3. And then in season 4, Kirito is absent, which gives a lot of room and opportunity for everyone else in the show to have some moments to pop off. And because of that, I think that's why season 3 and season 4 are so good, because Kirito is too OP. We've seen what he does in season 2 and season 1. But the moment that you sideline him, that you bench him and you focus on other characters and get them to pop off, with, of course, Kirito coming in at the very end and saving everybody, that's why I think season 3 and season 4 was so fucking good.
All to tell the story of a character who isn't even real, and it's better than what came before it. When you go back and look at Alicization, it's not Kirito's story, it's Yu-Gi-Oh's. Not only did we change worlds, we changed leads. Kirito gets the big spots, sure, he is the main character.
Yeah, of course, he will have significant moments, right? But he was really not, the spotlight wasn't casted on him like he was in season 1 and 2. And at some point, him just being the OP Black Swordsman and saving everybody constantly gets fucking boring. So you have, again, other characters like Yu-Gi-Oh take the driving wheel in season 3, and then so many other, characters in season 4, and have them pop off. That's why I thought SAO season 3 and season 4 was so fucking good. I was really trying to understand, why does this feel so good? Why does it feel so different? Of course, it's in a different, completely different world. We're now in, the simulation of a game, and, we're just in a completely different environment. Yet, it felt so good. Of course, the production value helps. A1 Pictures really stepped up their games in season 3 and season 4 compared to season 2 and season 1. But again, the way that they did their storytelling around Kirito rather than through Kirito is why season 3 and season 4 is so good to me.
The series, but the season revolves around Yu-Gi-Oh! His character arc is the center of the story. His goals of finding Alice moves the plot forward, and his death concludes the story they set out to tell.
That's right.
Alicization is about overcoming Yu-Gi-Oh!'s guilt. Kirito is simply the guiding hand to
Exactly. He's just there as support, and he steps in to clean up the mess when he needs to.
get him where he needs to go. To me, it's an ambitious gamble that paid off huge.
It is a crazy gamble. Because think about it. You have a working formula. Most people will not try to innovate because what's working hasn't broken yet, right? Why try something new when you can keep milking the same formula? The fact that they really did this was crazy to me. And that their vision was correct. Like, author of SAO took a huge gamble, but it was a well-calculated gamble. He had a great vision of what to do with SAO at this point in the story. Am I gonna keep having Kirito be like the Giga Chat to save everybody and keep, having the same repeat shit? Or should we try something new with, Kirito still there, but the driving force being someone else? It was, again, very ambitious and honestly genius. It worked well.
Typically, characters are built up over time before getting prominent roles. I wonder if Yui was kind of a test to see if a character like Yu-Gi-Oh! Could work. It's far less common for someone to pop up, become a lead, have an entire season centered around their story, and then dip out while maintaining an impact on what happens next.
So
I'm
good.
sure it's not the only time something like that has happened, but it's hard to think of one where the results were this effective. The way Yu-Gi-Oh! Changed the story is something that I really admire as a storyteller. With that,
I agree.
I'm out.
That was pretty much it. Like, exactly what he said was right? Oh, Jesus Christ. The reason SAO Season 3 Season 4 is so different is because of Yu-Gi-Oh! The fact that Kirito is no longer the centerpiece of the story. He is a guiding helper, and he steps in to clutch and clean up when he needs to. But because they focus the story around Yu-Gi-Oh! And his defiance, with this crazy new world known as the Underworld, Project Alicization was so fucking good. Season 3 and Season 4, I genuinely believe that it's like a 9 point something out of 10. Maybe I'm going crazy and I'm glazing too much, but the production value was fucking lit. It was so polished, and the story itself was so innovative and different. Now, I will admit, of course, the conclusion of season 4 and a lot of it, there's a lot of plot holes. There's a lot of bullshit happening. The power system is basically how much do you believe in yourself? You know what I mean? Which is I honestly enjoy it. The whole power system being willpower, it's you can definitely say plot armor a lot. There's a lot of like nonsense magical bullshit happening in season 4. But like Queenella was so fucking peak. Yu-Gi-Oh! Story was so fucking peak. And season 4, we have, Mr. Gabriel, Mr. Let me taste your soul. Your soul will be so sweet. We also have Kaiba and shit. It's just so peak. I really pity those who, have a negative viewpoint of SAO simply due to talking points of huge content creators back in the day when SA was airing, but they genuinely don't understand why they hate SAO. It's like they just hear popular people saying it's trash, and then they just jump on the bandwagon. They have no clue what they're missing out on. And season 3 and season 4, bro, it's fucking peak. Please check out Mr. Gallenberger1's channel. That was a great video. Here's a link to his channel. Please go support him, and I'll see you next time.